Pick Basilisk Collar. Just vote for it. Don't worry about it. See, we're done. We can just end it after the song. That's all right.
All right. So first off, we have to talk about last week. So if you guys don't know how this segment works, we have a scenario of 2 cards here. Might be staples, might not be staples. One of them might be, both of them might be. In this case, they both might be. But you guys there's 1 spot left in this deck, and we'll lay out the scenario for these particular cards. These are going to be the same scenario. But last week we had Thunderstaff versus Propaganda.
I'm glad you didn't laugh there. All right.
Where do you think this one went?
Like 80-20 total?
Wait. Let's say curated MTG against Propaganda.
I mean, okay, when you put it that way, probably 90-10.
Okay, so we had YouTube voting 24% for Thunderstaff.
I'm impressed. Thank you, YouTube.
Even a little better was Twitter at 28% for Thunderstaff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm doing the low numbers for you.
Oh.
And Discord. Where do this is what it should be the guess. Is where
50-50?
do you think fucking Discord. 14%.
Are you serious?
They turned on you, buddy. I will wear my crown today. Hang on, let me take my hat off. My hair is brutal. Crazy.
That's brutal percentages.
It feels good.
It looks better on you anyway.
This crown back on.
I got my tiger crown going.
I see a tiger. Did you ever watch Tiger King? I don't think you did you? Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, so what do we got going this week, Lowery? So we have 2 cards here. Let's not fight for it yet. We got to lay out the scenario here, even though they're very similar.
I mean, what's the scenario? You want 1 equipment to do some cool shit. And they both have 1 CMC.
Yeah.
They're both an equipment.
Yeah.
And they both equip for 2. They both give lifelink. And then,
I don't think I need to do much with this one.
Maybe not. I mean, you do. So like, and then
so what do we got?
Basilisk Collar
against
the
Shadowspear.
difference is Death Touch. Mm-hmm. Death Touch is pretty sweet because when you deal damage, 1 or 2 or whatever, it's going to kill whatever creature it blocks or is able to deal damage, because it doesn't have to be combat damage. You can have, don't roll your eyes at me, young man. It's, if you like cast a Chandra's Outburst on a 1/1 Death Touch, it's going to kill all the other creatures. That's pretty fucking sweet, in my opinion. But you wouldn't put it on a 1/1. I'm just putting worst case scenario. You put it on your biggest creature, and you're going to gain all that life and kill all the other creatures, no matter what its power and toughness. There's no tutors going on. And so, like, that's the cool thing about the Death Touch aspect of it, is it has, if I'm putting, this can go in any deck that you want to think of. If I'm choosing between like Niv Mizzet Perun, I'm gonna put Basilisk Collar in there, because it can just start pinging off whatever creature's in play. And
what happens when they have
Shadowspear can't
hexproof?
do that.
What happens when they have hexproof?
Well, then it just becomes a Shadowspear. You know what I mean? it becomes worse as a Shadowspear. You're still potentially gaining that life. You can still deal damage to whatever.
You're pinging it. How you're pinging them? What are you doing?
What do you mean?
If the creatures you're trying to ping have hexproof?
If it has hexproof, are you saying that you would pay the 1 and take off the hexproof and just deal 1 damage? Sure. Because Shadowspear couldn't kill that creature.
What happens if they're indestructible?
Well, then it's not good.
Just curious.
What happens? What happens if it's indestructible with Shadowspear? What happens?
You pay 1, and permanents your opponent's control lose hexproof and indestructible until end of turn.
Are we saying that's good? Like, if you're pinging with Niv Mizzet Perun,
and
their creature has indestructible, and you're going to deal that 1 damage, like, it doesn't matter. It's not going to die anyway. Who cares? Indestructible's not even that good. Nobody uses it. You're just playing with your mic because. All right, Indestructible is pretty good.
I'm trying to do a mic drop.
Okay. So, I mean, basically, this card was Shadowspear was made to like fight against heroic intervention. Like, oh, you heroic intervention, I'm going to pay 1 to get rid of that.
And lightning, or not lightning greaves. I guess it would be your favorite Swiftfoot boots.
No, maybe.
Yeah, because it wouldn't get rid of whatchamacallit, Shroud, but it'll get rid of Hexproof. Yeah. I don't have to say a lot here.
What do you mean? What else does it do? What does it do? I don't remember what bad cards do.
Let me point this out. How long has Basilisk Collar been out?
10 years.
From World Wake, right?
Yeah.
25,000 EDH rec decks, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about a similar thing where, it's an art. These are both artifacts, so these are going to be in the same decks.
If you're looking for like lifelink, these are the two best options.
Yes. How long has Shadowspear been out?
2.5 years.
46,000 EDH rec decks, so almost double. 2 years compared to 10. I mean,
what's your point that you're trying to get at here?
Or I'll tell you this. Okay.
It's not my fault that there's 25,000 decks that are wrong. They're just putting it in there as a general, like, oh, maybe I'm going to run into Hexproof and or Indestructible and not have to have it be an equipment.
Here. I'll give you one little nugget. Yours is probably going in more like Voltron-y type decks, where you're adding this death touch to an already big creature that you need to do the 1 damage and then everything else goes through and all that fun stuff. The cool thing about Shadowspear is it doesn't need to go on a creature. Like, it's an equipment that one of the most rare equipments that is out in play and does something.
It's not a mythic?
No. No, it is actually rare, which, but it actually does something without being on a creature. Like, you tap 1, and that's why you have it in here. So Shadowspear fits in all the same decks at Basilisk Collar, except it also fits in the decks that need to target creatures and get rid of Indestructible, which should be in every single deck. So this goes in how many of your decks?
What? Shadowspear? Like 2. 2. 2. Basilisk Collar's in more.
You know what?
Like 3 or 4.
I would just say build a better
Shadowspear is really, really, really good. I'll give it that. But if you are just like in a pinch, Basilisk Collar's better. In more specific decks. No. Okay, let's say like everybody's removing your good creatures, and you put Shadowspear on a card, like again a 1/1 or a 2/2 or whatever.
So
like
going
something
very situational.
We're going with Smith logic here. You're going to get picked on. Shadowspear just is going to like it's gaining you life, which is great. But Basilisk card does that same thing.
But rarely do I put Shadowspear even on the creature. I mean, I do because it's an equip too.
What do you mean? You're not going to do that. That's silly.
More so removing the hexproof and the indestructible. You get rid of all those things that you can't normally get rid of and touch. And it's not only for you. It's 1.
And
it's
actively
basically free. This is free.
Actively, Basilisk Collar is going to be better. Just better on a chump blocker and with your normal.
With the death touch, yeah. But this is going to be in more situations where not only are you able to do it, where if you're politicking with somebody, you're like, oh, dude, can you target Lowery's creature if I take the hexproof off? I've seen that happen so many times with Shadowspear. Can you do that with Basilisk Collar?
No. You can't do that with most cards. Let's be like,
there isn't a lot of things.
I mean, are we playing Bonds of Mortality in a lot of decks?
No,
we have so many of them. You haven't used it once. And guess what? That's the part that everybody that you're really harping on was Shadowspear. Like, you like Shadowspear, but you've never played Bonds of Mortality. What do you think Shadowspear is any good?
Because it's an artifact, and this goes on your creatures
Because that's
as
an
well.
artifact. What
Trample and lifelink.
It doesn't draw you a card.
You
Bonds
can
of
go-
Mortality draws you a card. You can at least blink that, or it doesn't
It's just
matter.
green. There's better
Do you know
green
why it
cards
doesn't
out
matter?
there.
Because it doesn't matter.
No, it don't. It totally does. You know why it doesn't matter? Because it doesn't matter.
That felt like rhyming the word with the word right there. All right. Look, Basilisk Collar is better.
You
It's
think
not only
Okay.
equal or underplayed, but it's better. It's highly underused.
it's been out for fucking 10 years?
Yeah, it's not my fault that people are wrong. Look,
No,
Shadowspear is the
Shadowspear
easy choice.
Came out. I would have thought, well, 25,000, that's a lot. And then Shadowspear comes along and it's like, oh, 46,000. Okay, I guess this is really good.
Generically, okay. So what it did was it took over Loxodon Warhammer's spot. Like
Yes.
everybody played Loxodon Warhammer because of the trample and the lifelink, which is really good. And this is just so much more efficient at what that does. And it's a much longer established card. And so it already had the precedent of being there. And so if you had Loxodon Warhammer, you're just sliding this in and putting it in there. And
Yeah.
and again,
this gets rid of that removal of stuff is huge, dude. That is so big. You're such a bullshitter. You're such a bullshitter. Okay, let me put it this way. Is Death Touch better than Trample and removing Hexproof and Indestructible?
I think it depends on whatever the
Oh,
people
you're such
are
a bullshitter.
playing.
You're such a
If you're playing a Voltron deck where it matters that you have a big creature that you're trying to get it through, then it makes sense to go with Shadowspear. But if you have a more controlling type game where you're able to deal damage from creatures, then I think Basilisk Collar is the better card. It depends on what the people out there want to vote and play with.
What if you're doing
because it doesn't
damage
matter
like
what
that
you think
and they have
generally is good. It
what if
depends on what
everything
you want to
you're-
play with.
everything that you're trying to target has hexproof or is
do you mean?
indestructible? What happens
Then get some removal for whatever's giving everything hexproof.
So get multiple
make a better deck.
play other cards on top of your Basilisk Collar instead of having a Shadowspear that has it all combined into one.
Can you kill cards with Shadowspear? No.
You can make them so they can be killed.
You make it that they can be killed. Great.
If you repeat me, it doesn't go away. Just say it in a different tone of voice.
I think it worked.
All right, you guys can vote for these cards. You can jump on Twitter. You can vote there. You can jump on YouTube on the community tab, and you can vote if you're a part of the Discord. Vote there. We will announce the winner next week with the chance to get the crown. I think that'll do it for this week, right? I guess we'll have a new fucking card.
Good for you.
I guess we'll have a new card to try to give away. You guys can definitely stump Lowery if you want to enter. You want to win some cards? Just enter because he will give them away to you guys.
I know what it is. I just don't know the name.
Yeah, that's what we should change it to. I know what it is. I don't know the name. I should get that little clip there of you saying that and just plug it in.